You might be a lot closer to financial freedom than you think. So in today's video, we're going to go through 10 signs and see how many of these you can identify with. If you're new to my channel, hello and welcome. I'm Sarah Edens. I'm a financial consultant and I specialize in wealth psychology and financial education. So please go ahead and subscribe. I make new videos every single week to help accelerate your wealth journey. And to my current subscribers, welcome back. It's so nice to see you here as always. So let's dive right in. What are these 10 signs that you might be closer to financial freedom than you think? Number one is that your net worth is growing steadily, even after accounting for debts. So you're looking at here how much you're making, and then you're looking at subtracting out how much you have in car loans, how much you have maybe on a mortgage. But if you're seeing numbers move steadily in the right direction, that's a good sign. Number two, you consistently live below your means, which just means that you're spending less than you earn. Super important because this leaves surplus to both save and create like an emergency savings account of 3 to 6 months of living expenses, as also freeing up some surplus to invest should you choose to invest. The third thing is that you have no or very little high interest debt, especially revolving debt like credit cards, payday loans, things like this. Obviously, a lot of us carry debt throughout our lives, such as mortgages and perhaps car loans, but we're really targeting here the very high interest debt. If you're carrying a lot of high interest debt, not such a great sign. If you've started to really completely get rid of all of the credit card debt and make sure that you keep your cards paid off and don't use credit frequently, that's a great sign because that means that the banks aren't also taking advantage of those 23%, interest rates on credit cards. And the numbers are working in your favor. The fourth sign, and we kind of touched on this, is that you're maintaining a robust emergency fund of 3 to 6 months of living expenses. Now, this isn't necessarily something you leave parked in a savings account because most savings accounts in the US right now are averaging less than 1% interest rate per year. So it's not a great place to leave it in a savings account, but even if you can find a high yield savings account that's giving you more interest, that's great. But basically the concept here being it's easy for you to tap into those funds if you had a lapse in your paycheck or you had a sudden unexpected emergency that you needed to pay some medical bills for, or the hot water heater broke and you needed a new hot water heater. The idea is so that you've got some cash on hand so you don't have to finance things in an emergency, at least for a little while, 3 to 6 months, you've got some buffer there. The fifth sign is that your investments or your passive income streams are producing return and income that are starting to cover a fairly significant portion of your expenses. So this is a sign that you're starting to move away from being completely dependent on your paycheck or your income from your business or your job, and you're moving over to the money's making money for you in your investments and taking advantage of compound interest, or maybe some of your more passive income type side jobs are starting to create money. Maybe you have rental income coming off of rental properties you own. But anyway, all of that money that's just kind of there when you wake up in the morning is starting to pay your daily living expenses. And that's a really key indicator that you're starting to tip over into being closer to financial independence. The sixth sign is that you're psychologically shifting. You're feeling less financial anxiety, greater financial confidence, and more autonomy and control. Those are all really, really good to watch out for. If you're just starting to feel a lot more in control, they've shown in financial well-being research that our perception of how we're doing is really, really also key. Also, it's great when it's backed up by the math, but then it's also key to have that perception of like, yes, I'm in control of my money. I can figure this out. I can hire people to answer the questions that I have still, like say about retirement planning or investments. But generally, I feel pretty in control of my money. That's a great sign to watch out for as well. The seventh sign is that you plan ahead and then you make and follow financial goals, budgets, and forecasts. So you're really starting to have like more of a long-term strategy here. And it's really good to work with professionals on this as well, whether it's your financial planner, your investment advisor, retirement advisor, maybe you're working with insurance professionals if you're researching something called long-term care insurance. All of these, maybe you've got an estate attorney who you're putting together wills and a living trust with. But very much strategy is such a critical component of financial freedom because without the strategy, it doesn't happen. Like, it does not happen by itself. It's about strategy, it's about planning, and then it's about execution of the plan. Because you can have the best financial plan ever, but if you don't take steps and execute on it consistently, it's not going to help you at all. And so it's very much about just putting those things together and continuing to move forward as you go. The 8th sign is that your discretionary and surplus income, which is your after-tax income minus your living expenses, is reliably positive. So basically that just says, do you still have a surplus at the end of every month? Or like, have you gotten past the point of where you're blowing through everything in your paycheck just to cover bills and food and gas and all of this? Are you starting to see meaningful surpluses start to stack up? And that just is, again, showing you that your systems are working, that your earning system is working, you're earning enough income, your budgeting system is working, that you're giving every dollar a job, your investing system is working because your investments are out there making money for you, and that you really have systems in place that are working. And when that surplus starts to show up, that's when you really can start to see the pieces come together. The 9th sign is that you have multiple income streams. This might be side jobs, this might be passive income streams like we talked about from real estate income. I always encourage people to diversify their income off of, don't just have all your money coming from one job or from one business. It's really, really important. And I practice what I preach here. I have 2 businesses, this one on YouTube, and then I have a vintage boutique. And so there's just it really depends on kind of what you want to do with your setup, but really important to not be completely dependent on just one employer, especially these days. I feel like there's so much volatility in the jobs market and so much volatility in the economy. You can almost not be too diversified when it comes to how many places your income is coming from every month. And then the 10th and final sign here is that you're making financial decisions aligned with long-term goals, such as you're delaying gratification, you're thinking in decades, not in days, you're avoiding impulse spending or impulsive debt, and you're reassessing your major costs carefully. And that's another sign that you're moving towards financial independence. Now, I do want to say too, it's really important as a caveat to not put everything off till later and sacrifice everything just so that you can get to financial independence as quickly as possible. I think it's important to have balance. Yes, it's important to save for retirement, and yes, it's important to invest, and yes, it's important to have your emergency savings, yes. But it's also really important to spend some money on having a comfortable quality of life if you're able to, on being generous with the people in your life and causes that you care about, on having experiences and sharing experiences with your loved ones. Really important to keep that balance. So I don't ever want anybody to come away from any of my videos thinking that they need to only focus on one thing. I really, really focus on balance here. So keep that in mind as well. So those are the 10 signs that you might be closer to financial independence than you think. And if you enjoyed this video, I have a next one here that I'll put up on screen that I think you'll also enjoy. And so I will see you very soon over there.